enough of that.
Good morning. Welcome back to my workbench. Today we're going to take a look at this Ryobi chainsaw. The customer says that it doesn't run well, and I have a small budget to get this thing back up and running again. Come on over here. Let's get started. Well, here we are with a Ryobi RY3716 chainsaw. I don't normally take Ryobi chainsaws in for repair, but I seen this one coming through the front door, and I thought about my viewers, and I thought maybe you'd like to see me work on this. I know very little about this chainsaw. This is going to be a learning experience for me. This customer bought this chainsaw brand new, and it looks to be, from the sticker on here, a 2017. So he's had it for a few years, and he said it has worked excellent up until recently, and it now has a running issue. He would prefer to fix it than he would to throw it out and buy a new one, so I am going to try to fix it for him. It looks to be in good condition, looking at the handles and the plastics. I don't see anything missing. There's our on-off switch, purge bulb, choke. I don't think he cuts a lot of wood, and whatever he does with this works well for him, he said. Well, I hope I can fix it for him. Let's get the barn chain off of this thing. The chain brake works. Maybe I'll become the Ryobi chainsaw master. I doubt it, but you never know. The barn chain looked to be in good condition. This saw has an outboard clutch. The chain catcher's only been whacked a few times. The sticker says Tektronic Industries North America Inc. 37cc. Manufacture date January of 2017. Made in China. Well, let's see if it has any fuel in it. And I see this saw, you have your chain oil and your fuel mix both back here. That can be tricky. I've seen people accidentally switch these, put bar oil in the gas and put gas in the bar oil. The cap says fuel mix 50-1. There is fuel in there. Let's dump it out and take a look. Clean cup. That's pretty thick and goopy. That's pretty thick for gas. I almost think it's gas and bar oil mixed together. It's funny, I was just talking about that happening, and maybe that's what we have going on here. I'll look in the chain oil tank. And it's full too. Clean cup. Well, that's runnier than that. But neither smells like gas. What's going on here? So this mixture came out of the fuel tank. It doesn't smell like gas. It's thick, but it's not as thick as bar oil. So I think that is bar oil mixed with a little bit of fuel. See how thick it is? It's like watered down bar oil. I don't know if he runs true fuel or what that is, but it's a strange smell. And that's what came out of his oil tank, which is more like fuel consistency, way runnier than that stuff. It smells very odd. I guess he's mixed his fuel and bar oil up. I don't know if he knew he did that. He didn't say anything to me. I do have this happen more often than you think, but usually when the person comes in, they'll say, just so you know, I did mix up my fuel and bar oil, and then I know to clean the whole system out and take the carb off. But maybe he doesn't realize what he's done. So I can see bar oil in that purge bulb. He did tell me when he dropped this off that if he continually pushed that purge bulb, he could make this thing kind of run. So this thing has bar oil all through the fuel system. So here's the plan of action. I'm going to put fresh fuel in the tank. I'm going to purge it. I'm going to shake this up, dump it out, get as much of that bar oil out of there as I can. And then we'll put some fresh fuel in it, take it outside, and see if it runs. I already know the bar oil is through everything, and I'm going to pull the carb off this, but let's just see. He said that this saw was running on this bar oil. I don't know how that's even possible. He said as long as he pushed the purge, this thing would keep on running. That can't be good. I've got a fresh batch of fuel. This was made up for me about 5 minutes ago. So let's flush that tank out. It's not a good idea when a saw has these two tanks too close together. It's way too easy to make a mistake. Tighten that lid down and we'll purge that thing. And there's our fuel coming up now. Good thing I order these cups in bulk packs. Okay. There, that tank's been rinsed out really well, purged very well. It's the best I can do. That was sacrificial fuel, so I'll go get rid of that. Okay, now we have pure mixed fuel in the fuel tank. And we'll put some bar oil in the bar oil tank. Well, now that we have our fluids sorted out and back into the proper holes, let's take this thing outside and see if it will run. I'll meet you outside. That's enough of that. No start on the Ryobi with bar oil in the fuel system. Well, let's dig into this thing. Okay, air filter cover. They do have starting instructions on here. ryobitools.com. And there's a 1-800 number. Maybe I should call them. And that is a torch spark plug. It's very wet. There's fuel everywhere. The air filter's wet. I'm getting ahead of myself here a little bit. Let's pull that fuel filter out and do a quick pressure test. And that fuel line and carb hold no problem. I kind of expected that would be leaking. I'll grab my camera and we'll take a look down the spark plug hole. I don't see anything in here that would make this chainsaw not start. Let's do a compression test. And we have just a hair under 180 pounds of compression. Well, compression isn't the reason why this thing won't start. I'm not going to put that plug back in. The saw has been flooded and had bar oil in it. I looked up the NGK cross-reference and got BPMR 7A. Gapped properly. Let's do a spark test. Let's watch for spark in that window. We have lots of spark. If you like that spark tester, there is the part number. So we've put a new spark plug in it. What I'm thinking now, I removed his old fuel filter, which is coated in bar oil. We could put a new fuel filter on this, put some fuel back in it, and see if it'll start. Maybe the spark plug was the problem. Flooded, oil-covered fuel filter. It may seem like I'm all over the place here because I kind of am. This Ryobi kind of intimidates me. I have this fuel filter in stock. It's for a Poulan, but it looks the same as what I took out of it. It should work. New spark plug, new fuel filter. I wonder if it'll start now. Let's go find out. Rather than you watching me pull this saw over 100 more times, I just came back in with it. When I purge it, it shouldn't do that. So we've got carb issues. All right, I'll dump that fuel back out of it again. Maybe it wasn't the bar oil. I don't know what it was, but something's just not right. That's not a primer bulb, that's a purge bulb. And when you purge your saw, the throat of the carb should not fill up with fuel like that. Trivia time. Tyler, does any chainsaw have a primer bulb?
You mean purge bulbs?
Primer bulb.
Oh, the primer that actually shoots fuel into the intake? Yes.
What saw?
I can't say. Maybe somebody will guess in the comments.
Any viewers know what chainsaw has a primer bulb? Not a purge bulb, a primer bulb. I know that one of you knows the answer.
I know there's one saw in particular I'm thinking of. Maybe there could be others, but there's one for sure.
I'm going to go blow this area out, and then we're going to figure out how to get that carb off of there. I'll be right back. There we go. That looks better. So first thing, let's get this choke knob out of here. Little clip there holding it on. We've got a fuel line to disconnect, and I see a bunch of hardware right down in there. It's disconnected off the carb. And then what kind of tools do I need to get it off? I have no idea. T25. Yep, looks like a T25. We'll just keep taking screws out until the carb comes off. Throttle rod's unhooked. Actually, that is not the fuel line. That is the purge line. That's the fuel line. I'm all miscombobulated here. Okay, and there is our carb off. That fuel line is hard as a rock. I don't know if this line has been replaced because it doesn't look of the same vintage. It looks like newer Tygon, but I do not like that. So I think we're going to have to change them. I'm not sure what I'm getting myself into here. I want to get this cover shroud thing off. So let's start taking hardware out and see where we get. I set my hardware on the table in the same orientation that I took it out of the top cover so that everything goes back where it came from. There. 4 screws and that top cover pops right off. So it looks like both of our lines will pop out of this grommet looking thing right here. So they're both out, but this thing's kind of in the way. And that wire passes through it. All right, there's that thing. That's our new fuel filter. Just put that to the side here. Am I going to do all of this without pressure vac testing this saw? Heck no. Muffler off. The piston is just like brand new. All cleaned up. Okay, so I am going to pressure vac test this chainsaw. It won't take me long. We're going to block the exhaust port off. I'm going to block the intake off. I'm going to use my muffler. and a rubber. That should work good. And now our intake. I'm going to use the screws that I took out of the carb. We'll see if this will work. Intake is blocked off. Spark plug is in tight. Exhaust port is blocked. Let's pressure vac test it. After a bunch of fiddling around and a night of sleep, I've got this thing sealed up. I ended up taking that intake block off and just using some plugs out of this kit to get this thing sealed up, and it now holds. So I'll get my tools off of this thing and we'll get to work. Those work pretty good. I got this kit off of Amazon. I could look and see if I can find it. There's no name or number on it, but I have used this so many times. It's so handy. So I ended up testing this chainsaw through the spark plug hole. So I pulled the plug out and put this adapter in, and I'll put our new spark plug back in. Oh yeah, I have this to put on. So we'll take those off. We'll put that T25 back in the front there by the muffler. Okay, that looks good. I want to replace that fuel line and that purge line. This purge bulb has a short nipple and a long nipple. The long nipple is the purge line that goes to the carb, and the short nipple is the fuel line down into the tank. Pretty important to keep track of where these lines come from. Probably replace one at a time. I think that purge bulb's okay. It's not cracked. You want to keep track of where you take your lines off of. Okay, so there's a new piece of purge line. A few minutes ago, I told you that when you take something like this apart, to pay close attention to how you take it apart so that you put it back together properly. And that would be true if this thing was put together properly in the first place. So I took this line off of the long nipple, and this should create vacuum now, and it does not. Somebody's had this off and put it back together the wrong way. So if I put that line, this is the line that's going to run to the carburetor. If I put it on the short nipple, now it creates vacuum. If your purge system is set up correctly, when you hit the purge button, you'll be pulling fuel out of the carb, not pushing fuel into the carb. And the way he had this set up, the reverse way, he was pressurizing the carb. And that's why earlier, when I primed it, we had fuel coming out of the carburetor. Somebody may have replaced this line at one time, and this line going into the tank, the other purge line, is way too long. When I was in the tank getting the fuel filter, I could see it, and it is way too long. I'll show you that when I pull it out. Through the hole and maybe an inch or so into the tank, he has it way down, sitting in the bottom of the tank, all curled up. So he would have been sucking dirt and everything off the bottom of the fuel tank as well. I guess the moral of this story here is that if you're working on a chainsaw that someone else has previously tried to fix, don't just assume that they have everything together properly. So that is on there properly now, and this line is going to go to the carb once we have the carb back on. So put that out of the way for now. Let's pull that other purge line out of the tank. That's way too long. So there's our old piece, and I just cut a new piece, which is shorter, and I cut it on an angle so that we can put it down through the hole in the fuel tank easier. You have to make sure that you use the right size. If it's too big, you won't be able to get it through the hole. And if it's too small, you're going to leak fuel. So for this saw, I'll show you what I used. This is Tygon from Oregon, the part number 07-153. And there is the dimensions of this line. Different saws could be different sizes, but that seems to work for this saw. So I'm going to feed that down to the top of the tank. Use my pliers here to help me. It just fits through barely, so it's nice and tight. Okay, so that new purge line is ready to be attached to my purge bulb when I put it back on. And now I want to replace this crispy fuel line. That's in poor condition, hard as a rock. So using the same size Tygon, I just cut a new piece of fuel line, and I cut it a little bit longer. Once we have this installed, we'll be able to pull it out the cap hole here, trim it to whatever size we want, and put our fuel filter on. And I've got one side cut on a taper, and we'll feed it through the tank hole. Okay, so new fuel line is installed. So we'll put our purge bulb back in. I've got this grommet back in place. Just slid the throttle rod through it, and I've got my fuel line clips in that side, and the one purge line clips in that side. I'll wait and put the top cover on last. So here's the carb that I took off of this thing. So this thing has had bar oil put through it. It's had dirt put through it since he had the purge system running the opposite way. And you know what? HIPAA sells the carb brand new for $10. I can't even buy a carb kit for $10. So we're going to put a brand new carb on this from HIPAA. I'll put a link to this carb down in the description box below if you need one of these for your Ryobi chainsaw. I think we'll put our choke knob on now. Okay, that clip is installed on there. And we have a gasket, some hardware, purge line is hooked up. Kind of a lot of things going on at once here. I think I have everything hooked up properly. We'll put the top cover on, and I guess we're going to find out. And we have one more piece of hardware. I think we got it. Make sure everything's working. It seems to be working. Let's put a fuel filter on this. I'm just going to snip the angle off of that. And that's our new fuel filter. And we'll drop it in and just make sure that it's not sitting up out of the fuel. Okay, our new fuel filter's in there. And it's kind of neat that they put a little recess in the fuel tank for the fuel filter to sit in. I'm going to see if I can show you. There, the fuel filter's in its little compartment in there. You can see the purge line sticking down above it. There, new fuel line, new purge lines. Fresh fuel in the tank. We're going to see how our purge system is working now that it's hooked up properly. See the fuel moving. There, so that's working as it should. I took this air filter apart and cleaned it. So we will reinstall that. And the air filter cover. Well, I think our Ryobi is back together. Just check the workbench and see if I have any parts left over that shouldn't be. So there's our 3 old lines. Our old carb, which we're going to dissect here in a few minutes. The old spark plug. The old fuel filter. That's it. I have nothing else left over. Well, I guess it's time to head outside and see if this thing will run. We have not heard it start yet. It should run. I hope it runs. I'll meet you outside. Well, that little Ryobi starts and runs. Lots of smoke, heavily flooded, been running on bar oil. This thing needs a good run in the wood. I see his distant uncle stopped by for a visit. Come on up for a visit here. They're both the color of a lime, so we'll say they're family. This thing's 37cc. This thing is 100cc. That's a Poulan made by Dalmar. There's 40 years age difference here. Let's go cut wood with both these. Meet us outside.
Alright, last time this was on, I was going to use it and it wasn't oiling. I ended up taking it all apart. The oil line system is pretty complex. I don't have a manual oiler on it anymore. I had to disconnect it. It doesn't work. So it's just the mechanical oiler. We'll see if it fires up.
Better do your stretches.
I did them. I already did them. had an oiling issue with this saw. I see oil on underneath, so I'll have to look at it again. That's too bad. That's why I just did the one cut. I knew it wasn't oiling well, but for video purposes, I just had to show everybody it cutting. Okay, I'm pretty impressed. I've never used a Ryobi. They've showed up through the front door of the shop, and we always say, no, we only service Still or Echo. So I've turned many away. Okay power, it's got good anti-vibe. It's only 37cc. Geez, with a good sharpened chain, this thing was working pretty good.
Yeah. It doesn't run good on bar oil.
It does not run good on bar oil. Don't put bar oil in your... That's a problem with this design. Those two caps are so close together. This guy will be thrilled. He just wanted his saw fixed. I'm glad we used that HIPAA carburetor, and it looks like it comes right from the manufacturer. I think it's called Ruxing. So that HIPAA carburetor saved this chainsaw. Erica's gonna tear apart that other one just to look inside. Let's just give it a hot start. So I'll purge it a couple times in case there's any air bubbles. Brake on. It's got a decent sized muffler, so the noise is down. Maybe it's worth drilling a couple holes in that muffler and getting some more power out of it.
Port it.
Not on this channel yet.
Send it to Donnie Walker for porting.
I don't know if he'll do that one. This thing is so heavy. I gotta weigh this. This is ridiculous, this saw.
Let's dissect this carburetor. The micro screen has a couple specks in it, but not a lot of dirt. But there is bar oil in this thing. I guess I didn't put those on the new carb when I put it on, so I'll have to take it apart again and install them. You can see that red material sitting in the screw on top of the metering lever. I think it's bar oil residue. It's just heavy, sticky. So the way he had this purge system set up, instead of sucking fuel out of this, he was pushing fuel, bar oil, dirt into the carburetor. This would be a risky carb to try to use. For the price of $10, why would you? For $10, you just put a new one on it. This Ryobi runs and cuts perfect. He said this saw has always ran good up until recently. Looks like we had some trouble with bar oil and a purge system. It's all sorted out. Maybe I'll take the odd Ryobi in for repair now. I'm a little less afraid than I was before. I'll take this apart again. I got to put these two pieces that I missed back in. And that'll be a wrap for this video. You know, I thought this Ryobi looked kind of familiar to something that I've seen before. So I went out back digging, back in the crypt, back in the far corner, and I found this Earthquake. I believe they sell Earthquake in a store up here called Princess Auto, which would be similar to your Harbor Freight in the States. This is the same saw. That Earthquake and that Ryobi I'm pretty sure are the same thing, are made by the same company, same air filter. So I brought this home in this condition. It came in a lot of saws I bought. I thought about leaving it there, but I took it. So you can see it's someone's got it all apart here, but it's the same thing. Pretty much the same thing. So if you guys enjoy this Ryobi video, maybe we should deep dive into this earthquake. Check it out and see if it's worth fixing, if it has a good engine. I can order a hip of carb for it and we can see if we can make this into a running chainsaw. Let me know what you guys think. It looks like a piece of junk sitting here on my desk. It probably is a piece of junk, but maybe we can make it cut wood again. It might make somebody an affordable little chainsaw. Well, this Ryobi chainsaw runs and cuts. The owner will be thrilled. He didn't want a new chainsaw. He wanted his Ryobi fixed. The only two real issues I found were that he had bar oil in the gas and gas in the bar oil, and somebody had tried to repair it and they had the purge system all hooked up incorrectly. We got it all cleaned out, the purge system sorted out, new purge lines, new fuel line, new spark plug, new fuel filter, new carb, and this thing runs exactly like it should. And then I discovered that this saw is the same as this earthquake. And maybe there's other saws out there that are just like these two. So I guess that's it for the Ryobi chainsaw that won't run. It's on to the next chainsaw, and I've got a huge lineup waiting for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time.